Have you ever been so angry that you scream your little lungs out in pure unfiltered hatred? Well, I can tell you Final Fantasy XIV players have. You see, in Final Fantasy, there's a fun little piece of content called fishing. And fishing by itself is honestly quite a relaxing and simple part of the game. Watch, it's not gonna be it. Oh my god. Oh, there it is. I need the 2-bite. Oh my f***ing god, bro. However, I'm not talking about just fishing. I'm talking about big fishing. Specifically the achievement No River Wide Enough, which rewards you with the title Big Fish and the sick-ass adventure plate design. But how do you complete it? Well, you have to catch every single big fish from ARR to Shadowbringers. And that by itself doesn't sound so bad until you realize we're talking about big fish. And they are far from easy to catch. Each one has a very specific bait, time frame, weather pattern, and other garbage you have to do before you can even have a chance to catch one. On top of that, most of these big fish are up for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time, with varying degrees of respawn timers. Also, there's 249 you have to catch. So now that you have a slight understanding of how big fish work, allow me to demonstrate. So, as any rational and sane individual, I decided to go for some of the harder big fish, starting with the Listriacanthus. And in order to catch this, you must mooch another big fish called Jaws of Undeath. So seeing it currently available, I went to the market board to purchase the 10 times more expensive version of the bait, because I can't be bothered to actually just go and spend 1 minute looking up how to obtain it. No, I needed this fish now, and I wasn't going to waste any time. So quickly flying over to the Isle of Ken, I land on this peculiar looking doohickey and cast out my reel, and I caught him first try. Yeah, a little anticlimactic, I know, but I saw some people really struggling to catch this guy, and so after this, I was feeling pretty good, and looking at the fish tracker, I saw a funny little fish which was currently available. And in order to catch this guy, you also need to mooch another big fish. However, both of these guys were much worse. So I decided to go for that too. Grabbing my bait at the speed of light, warp traveling through the location. Unsurprisingly, I saw some other lost souls here who were addicted to fishing, then ended up inviting me, a complete random idiot, into the Adamantoise fishing link shell, which was a mistake. Anyways, while they were having a rough time in chat, I was having a panic attack because I showed up so late. So I was quite literally spamming my cast button, praying that the timer didn't run out. This was it. I caught the prerequisite big fish, and I threw my reel out in a desperate hope. Yeah, I didn't get it. So the funny thing about Ruby Dragon is that you can catch Cure multiple times over and still not get the Ruby Dragon, as the Cure is also in its own mooch pool. So what often happens is players prep to get Ruby Dragon and end up getting stuck in a constant Cure frenzy where they mooch the same fish over and over again until they inevitably lose the bite. This is the real reason why Ruby Dragon is so difficult to catch, because of this piece of shit. That and its disgustingly long respawn timer. However, luckily for me, Ruby Dragon was responding fairly quick for the past couple of days, so I had multiple chances to grab him before he goes away for probably a month. 4 lockouts to be specific. Anyways, I returned the next day early in the morning and prepared the proper way by spam catching a bunch of shitty worthless fodder fish until I racked up 10 angler's art. Therefore, I could use makeshift bait to keep my mooch train going in case I catch Cure over and over again. Another thing to note is that Cure is available to catch a little bit before the Ruby Dragon is available. So with this, you can pre-catch the Cure and stand there like an NPC waiting to mooch until Ruby Dragon's uptime. And that's exactly what I did. With this new strategy at my disposal, I now tried my luck once more. So, after successfully getting into the mooch train, I ran out of fucking bait! So yeah, I guess I was too focused on the preparation and totally forgot about the actual preparation of getting the bait. So it's safe to say I didn't catch Ruby Dragon. However, there was still one more chance, one more lockout that I could try. I returned later that day with a lot more bait on hand, and I posted up way earlier than I should have. You see, in Final Fantasy XIV, there's a mechanic where if you stay at a fishing spot for too long, the fish will grow wary. This makes it so that they often run away before you can even catch them. And guess what happened to me during my cure pull? So I quickly had to move spots. Luckily for me, I caught the cure fairly early and before Ruby Dragon even went up. And as a little treat, I watched the chat have a mental breakdown over not catching cure. So after seeing this, me being the friendly, non-antagonistic monster I am, I calmly said, 5 mil if I catch Ruby Dragon first catch, watch me. Them obviously thinking I'm trolling, they just kept chatting. However, I am not trolling, and I do not play games. Except for Final Fantasy XIV. Finally, the Ruby Dragon uptime was here, and I tossed my rod out. Sitting patiently, I was nervous. What if I just lost 5 million gil? But I stayed hopeful. Soon I watched everyone around me reel in before I even got a bite. No. Was this it? Was I really gonna be broke and Ruby Dragonless? But something was off. This catch was taking suspiciously long. A catch! I slammed the reel button, and... I want my 5 mil. Yes, I actually caught it first catch of that lockout. So as a reasonable and moral man, I decided to flaunt my catch to everyone and fly around like a mockery, reminding them that they had to wait another 5 days to catch theirs. And as a little cherry on top, no one else caught Ruby Dragon that day. Now, I was entirely planning not to catch arguably the hardest big fish to catch in the game, so I had an entire section dedicated to why fishing is hard. However, even though I personally couldn't prove it to you, as I got extremely lucky, there's still plenty of accounts of people saying they went months to a year without Ruby Dragon. So my point still stands. Not to mention, after spending 2 days of going for Ruby Dragon, I now have 1 out of 249 big fish. Well, 4 if we include Cure and the other 2 fodder fish I caught. Okay. Are you now starting to understand why some gamers quit Final Fantasy because they lost their wife, children, dog, and job because of this achievement? There's some posts talking about how people went 6 months before they caught a certain big fish. So by the time you complete this garbage, there will probably already be a harder fishing achievement. I think this might be why people want to kill. And don't even get me started on some of the more heinous big fish to catch. Some that literally beat you into submission if you don't catch them in their less than 30-minute catch window with a 12-day respawn timer. It really begs the question, are achievements like this really good in an MMORPG? I know the whole meme of MMOs is big time sink, but when a piece of content like this requires you to put in literally years of your life into obtaining, is this really healthy? Well, maybe not for you, but for the game, absolutely. These kinds of crazy, wild achievements in games always bring mystique and a wow factor into the game. I mean, look at Ultimates. Week 1 Ultimates make Final Fantasy XIV one of the most viewed categories on Twitch. People who don't even play the game watch these fights just because the music is so good, the fights are so cool, and the difficulty is seemingly unreachable to most players. At least Omega is, if you're not using mods. I love stuff like this, and I think it just makes Final Fantasy XIV more interesting. I always love seeing players with big fish. It's just cool to see. So if you have big fish, congratulations. I'm gonna hunt you down. Anyways, Dawn Trail is most definitely going to have another big fish achievement, so make sure you whip your solid steel rods out and fling them into the nearby waters. I also plan on going for big fish eventually, and I'm thinking about streaming it here on YouTube. I also post some bigger catches as a separate video. So tell me right now in the comments if you'd be interested in watching that. Okay, bye-bye.